Hello, my friend, and welcome to Beyond, the personal growth podcast for the people who are healing beyond their conditioning and beyond the cycles that played out before them. My name is Katie Lynn, and with 20 years of experience in the field of psychology and human behavior, I am bringing my natural curiosity, expertise, and personal life experiences here for discussions that are guaranteed to be informative, inspiring, and entertaining. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Trigger warning, this episode contains themes of physical abuse, suicidal ideation, and self-harm. Please listen with consideration of your environment. Okay, today on the podcast, we have Brittany. Brittany, thank you so much for being on. I'm really happy to dive in with you today. What would you like to start with?
I would love to understand the part of me that continues to create people and circumstances where I feel as though I'm not being chosen, which then creates a fear of abandonment. Yeah, I would love to figure out what it looks like to choose myself so that I can end this cycle and break this pattern. Because I know that it's revealing parts of me that aren't free, and this is a part of me that continues to stop me from being the best version of me. It's just the fear of acceptance and the fear of not being chosen within sister circles, this community that we are a part of. I'm continuously hiding because it's safe for me, because I'm afraid that I have nothing to add, or they're gonna not choose me, abandon me, or it's just all of those feelings that come up, and then they feel really, really debilitating. And although I talk to myself and I tell myself that it's not real, it's an illusion, all of these things, it's still somatically like a visceral experience that I'm feeling, and that I get choked up, and then I don't even know what to say or do.
Yeah, thank you. I love that you gave examples too of like being in sister circles and in relationships. What has to exist? Because if we're wanting to be chosen,
Mm.
then that means that there's a desire of connection
Mhm.
there. So, as far as qualities or characteristics of the other that you want to be chosen by, is there a theme there?
Um, so I feel like what would have to be there, what consistently comes up is acceptance. Like acceptance of all of my emotions, acceptance of, all of the colors that I have to offer. Just acceptance of my entire being, all of the ugly and the shameful, the guilt, the imposter syndrome, like all of these different parts of me that I feel like I know that I haven't accepted within myself. So externally, yeah, I would want somebody to, yeah, accept me.
Yeah. And so are you saying that the people who you choose who don't choose you, is that what they're lacking? Are they lacking acceptance? Or is there just the fear that they won't accept you?
I've chosen partners, yeah, that don't love themselves, that don't
Mm,
accept themselves, and they don't accept their emotions mostly.
okay.
Because I'm a person that feels a lot. I feel
Mm-hmm.
so much. And if I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a partner that is able to create a container that
Mm-hmm.
allows for that, because I'm an external processor, I can process the root and everything all day, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I need a container to be able to express that, where I'm not feeling judged, or where they're scared. Because I women have sacred anger,
Yes.
and when males that don't accept their emotions, that are afraid of their own emotions, when they
Mm-hmm.
see me and this fire, they're like, "Whoa, this is too much. You're too much," which then creates the spiral of like, "Oh, I'm wrong. I have a lot of shame and guilt. I need to be quiet. I need to fit in this container to make sure that they feel safe because I'm scaring them." So it's
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. When you were little, do you have a lot of memories of your younger childhood, like
Yeah.
0 to 5 age? What were you like as a child?
I was very adventurous. I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to perform. I had a really big imagination. I was very creative. Yeah, I was very much happy all of the time and tried to seek, the beauty in everything. Even though I was like in a very chaotic environment, there was a
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I felt like that I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Despite everything that's going on, like there was a knowing, I
Where did
guess.
that knowing come from?
Um, I I want to say that I think it's the knowing that we all have or embody within us. Like there was just, and I think that that's what saved me because I was in a very chaotic environment, very abusive environment. So I think that that knowing or that feeling, maybe from a higher power, I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
sure, but I am.
Yeah.
It's that I also struggle with religion, so I'm still navigating, like, even when I say God, there's still like a lot of resistance towards
Sure.
even that. So a higher power, I think,
Mm-hmm.
was always, within
So
me.
it sounds like you've always been connected to your divinity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when you say chaotic environment, was there somebody in your world that really took care of you in a way where you felt safe?
My grandmother. Yeah. My father's mom, she was living with us at the time, and she was like my protector. She would take me away. If
Mm-hmm.
my mom was abusing me or my dad was abusing me, she would fight for me. So she was the person that would stand up for me or cry or tell them to stop.
And would they listen to her?
No.
Okay. Was it just physical abuse?
No. So with my parents, it was physical abuse. They were both very unpredictable. So that's where like my hypervigilance came in. It was a superpower that I developed because I didn't know what mood they were going to be in. So when I walked into a room, I had to assess because none of it made sense. They would get upset. I would just be playing, and because they were upset, they would come in and like hit me continuously. And so that created the story within myself of like, okay, I'm not doing anything, so who I am as a being is just wrong. So I'm wrong. Like there's must be something wrong with me because I'm just playing with my toys, and so all of it was very confusing, and questioning myself is a huge thing for me too, and like speaking my voice because I couldn't say anything or speak my mind because it went against whatever they were telling me. So nothing was ever explained. Nothing was ever like there was no like gentle parenting of like, hey, this is why or this is what's going on. It was like, no, we're the parent, you're the child, and I do what I want. So it was unsafe, really.
Do you still have a connection to your grandmother?
I do, yeah. Yeah.
In what way?
She's just a person that I just enjoy talking to, like a safe space, even though we're talking about nothing. It just feels like I can just be me. And, I just enjoy just hearing about what she's cooking today, like just boring things, but they feel very like nurturing to me. It just feels like, oh, okay, like this is like my safe person. One of the
Mhm.
safe people. Yeah.
Yeah. Who else in your life would you consider a safe person?
My stepmom. So my parents, they had like a falling out where my dad cheated on my mom, and it was one of the biggest traumatic experiences that I've ever had. My mom caught my dad cheating on her. We were in the car, and then she tried to murder my dad. Like, she was hitting the other car that he was in. He like jumped out. She went to jail. It was a whole thing, and I was like 7. So I witnessed all of that. And then when my parents separated, I think like a year later or two, he found a woman named Lucy. Literally all of the parts of me that desired a motherly love, she was able to fill all of those voids, and she empowered me and guided me. She's my angel for sure. Like she's a person that I still go to talk to about anything. She's accepted me. She's makes me feel so beautiful, makes me feel like, like I'm just perfect as I am. I don't have to be anything or do anything. And it was something that I never experienced before. I thought this was only like in Disney movies or something. Like I was like, wow, like she has Thanksgiving and she has Christmas in her house. I thought this wasn't real. So she was able to like just open my eyes to all of these new experiences that I thought weren't available to me.
Beautiful. And are you still connected to her?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
So as you speak this out, there's definitely a theme of wanting to be chosen. Do you hear any other themes?
Uh, Wanting to be chosen, fear of like being misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a fear of being misunderstood. I have a fear because it was life or death when I was a child. And I think that that's why I don't get close to people or, like I'm just scared of if they misunderstand me, I'm going to get hurt. Something bad is going to happen. Or if I upset them in any kind of
Mm-hmm.
way, or if I disappoint them, yeah, like something, it's just the feeling of like, which is in my partnership. I always
Mm-hmm.
feel wrong. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing happening, but like, if I see any shift within him, I have to try to change it. I
Mm-hmm.
have to try to make him feel better. He can't feel those feelings, which then
Yeah.
doesn't give him the space to feel
Yeah.
anything because
He can't feel those feelings because what happens?
my experience has been if he's upset with me, he's going to take love away from me.
Okay. And what happens if he takes love away from you?
Then I'm abandoned, he's going to leave me.
And then what?
And I'm going to die. It feels like I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
It's that
Mm-hmm.
feeling of like death.
Yeah. So where does love come from?
Ooh, love comes from me. Love. I know that all of the love that I'm experiencing is within me, but it's it's
Where does it
something that
show up in your body? If you drop into your body, can you tap into it?
I feel it in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
Um, my cheeks.
Mm-hmm. So as you tune into it, is it expanding?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how does it feel in your body?
Oh, scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Ooh. Mm. I guess what's coming up for me is to not fully accept it because it's going to be taken away. So why go through the trouble of accepting this if I'm going to just end up back here? Yeah.
Where's here?
Um, the not chosen, abandoned little girl.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, taking that little journey with
Mm,
yourself and with me. The thing that I hear as a theme, I asked you what did you hear as a theme as you were sharing? And there's definitely the desire to be chosen. There's definitely like being misunderstood. The theme that I hear is it's actually not okay for me to exist.
mm, yeah.
And that would make sense when I think about what you shared at the beginning. Like, I step back, I kind of hide, I don't engage, even if people are welcoming or warm. But if they're new to me and there's like uncertainty and it's unfamiliar, I kind of hang back, I stay quiet, I don't use my voice. Those are all components of existence, right? Like
Mhm.
speaking is existence, breathing is existence, being seen is existence. And that's how, when we're little, especially like 0 to 7, we know we exist because of the reflection of others.
Mm,
So you've seen this probably as a mama, you look into your little one's eyes and they smile and you smile back,
mhm,
right? There's this mirroring process that happens where, if he's angry, you go, oh, what's wrong? Or, oh, there's a curiosity there. And you validate the experience of your little one via your reflection. an acknowledgement that there's something there, something's
Mm,
going on. And in the example that I hear of, I'm in my own world playing with my toys, and then all of a sudden there's this abrupt physical
mm,
violence, and I can't make sense of it, and I don't understand what I did wrong, because
mm,
that's the nature of a child, right? It's their world is
yeah,
them. So everything that is done has to be their fault. It must have to do with them, right? That's all of us as we develop into young adults and then adults, you know. And so can you see how, oh my goodness, it's not just choose me. Maybe it goes a little bit deeper.
mm,
And the question is it safe for you to exist?
mhm,
Is it okay for you to exist?
mm, yeah.
What comes up for you as you sit with that?
Mm. I have struggled with self-harm like most of my life. Um, and I've also tried to commit suicide several times. So to hear that, it makes sense.
As you're present with this, do you have a desire to exist?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's coming up for you?
I I feel like my son hasn't had a chance to meet me yet, or
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a chance to meet me.
Mm-hmm.
And that scares me. And I have this feeling of like needing to expand or live or be, and I don't know. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to do that.
Where do you think you start with that?
Uh, I want to say that it's choosing things that like make me happy or choosing which I don't do. Everything around me is everybody else is more important than me, or I'm afraid of like doing this because it gets in the way of somebody else's schedule, or like I'm gonna upset them, or if I'm being me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna upset them, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to keep myself safe, I'm just keeping myself in this container, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't keeping me safe at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the visual that I get is like you're like the ocean trying to fit itself in a teacup.
Yeah.
And there's so much of you, right? And there's so many beautiful qualities, and there's waves, and there's still waters, and there's depth, and there's movement and motion. The ocean is so alive naturally. And then I see like the ocean trying to contort itself into this tiny
Mhm.
little teacup, and be still and be calm and not disruptive. What do you think you were designed for?
I've always felt like it was something big. I don't really know what that is, but it's a feeling of like a leader, a speaker, a coach, an
Mm-hmm.
actress, like something big.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know exactly what medium it'll
Mm-hmm.
be through, but I know that I'm meant for something big, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's what has guided me into all of these different spaces and places and people. It's just people consistently reflecting back to me what they see, which is this amazing, majestic unicorn, which also upsets me because I'm like, you see it. Why can I feel it? Like, why can't I? I want to see
Mm-hmm.
what you see.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm going to pause you there real quick.
yeah.
Why do you think you can't see it?
Um, I think I'm scared. I think I'm scared of what that means. If I
Sure.
do see it, it's gonna require me to level up in a or expand or let go of the old version of
Mm-hmm.
me to then step into this new person.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a level of responsibility that I think that I'm afraid of. Yeah.
Yeah. So remember when just a few minutes ago I said, where does love exist? You said it exists in me. I said, can you feel it? You said, yeah. I said, how does it feel? You said,
It's scary.
it's scary. So when I see this as an outsider, I can see that love got wired with pain.
Yeah.
When I say, what do you think you were created for? What do you think you were created to be? said coach, actress, leader, all those things, all those titles or sort of, manifestations of
Yeah.
you have something in common. Do you know what it is?
Um, I'm being seen like on a stage,
Yes.
people to see me.
Mm-hmm. And what
They're
else?
using my voice.
Uh-huh.
Um,
What else?
it would require me to allow people to see me.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah, I don't.
You'd ha-
Whew.
you'd have to be chosen,
Mm,
right? There is
mm,
really no leader without people who say, I would
wow.
like to follow you.
Oh,
I like what
yeah.
you got. I like what you're about. I resonate with it. I see you. I believe in you.
Mm,
How does it feel in your body to hear all those statements?
uh, validating. Um, feels good and sad at the same time.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of sensation.
Yeah.
It's what I refer to as dynamic sensation. It all exists, right? Like the love and the grief
Yeah.
and the gratitude and the loss and the give and the take, the excitement and the sadness at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also the feeling of like, oop, like, now. You can't like not know this information now. Like, so now you get to step up. Like, again, it's the fear. Like, the more that I know and I'm aware of,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
requires me to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. And Brittany, as we navigate this, I want to take a moment to share with you that there are people who come in who learn the struggle. Like part of their soul curriculum is like they come in and then they experience love and they experience embrace and they experience happiness and connection and then their first life bump right in the road, their first growth opportunity is kind of like the struggle, you know.
Mm,
And so the struggle is like the thing that is very difficult for them. It's like the loss of somebody close, the first kind of trauma, but sometimes it just happens later in life for them. And I'll tell you that majority of the women that I work with have had the opposite, where their life path isn't to learn the struggle. Their life path is actually to learn the embrace and the love.
mm,
They're not
mm.
learning how to be with the tough stuff in air quotes. Their curriculum is to learn how to let it be really, really good.
Mm,
Because ironically, when you've gone through trauma and even complex trauma for an extended period of time, especially 0 to 7, 0 to 12, right? A lot of chaos, instability, physical abuse, emotional abuse, maybe some neglect, right? That's comfortable.
yeah,
You know that, right?
yeah,
Like, you know, what it's like to be in an environment like that with chaos, with stress, with hypervigilance. You have all the tools. So it's familiar to choose that again. The unlearning is, how do I now learn peace, learn acceptance, learn embrace, learn love? Because that's actually what's really uncomfortable.
yeah,
Trusting someone, trusting another with their own emotions feels very threatening because I didn't know people who could handle their emotions safely. Does that resonate for you?
yeah.
So, as all of this moves through you, what do you think is next for you?
I think um, learning how to familiarize peace and love and joy and play.
Yeah. Anything else?
Uh, I think compassion
For who?
for me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, obviously, like, easier said than done. I feel like I say these things, I'm always like, yeah, give yourself grace and compassion and love. And in those moments, it's like I'm
Sure.
fighting a beast where I'm
Sure.
watching myself and it's like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. What are the ways in which you manage yourself? Like, how do you keep yourself in the teacup?
Um, Staying out of people's way, not expressing my emotions because I'm afraid of them, making myself wrong, apologizing a lot for being me, um, not speaking my truth, and continuously like creating experiences that perpetuate shame and guilt so that I can like stay in that home that feels familiar. It's just if I feel any kind of joy, even for a little bit, I immediately feel like I have to get back to this space because I don't know this home.
Is that through internal criticism? Like, is there a critical voice that comes up?
Definitely, there is definitely like a sergeant for sure. And
Oh, I
sometimes I
like that
can't tell.
name.
Yeah,
Sergeant. Okay.
I can't tell if it's my spirit guides talking to me sometimes or if
Okay.
it's when I process everything like at night, which is why I have a difficult time sleeping, but there's somebody talking to me literally
Mm-hmm.
telling me how, I could have responded differently and what I'm supposed to be doing and what would help support me in my body and my mental health. And it's
Mm-hmm.
consistently like waking me up at 3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning.
Okay. And what, how do you respond to that in your head?
I definitely resist it or feel shame and guilt. Like it's the feeling of like, I should have done better or I could have done better or
Okay.
yeah,
So
it's
you,
the
it sounds like you receive it as truth.
yeah, yeah.
So what if you received it as up for consideration?
Mm, that feels better.
I would say you're probably a very highly intuitive person, very connected, always have been. When we're highly connected and highly intuitive, sometimes it's like there's somebody turns on a faucet and there's all this information, all these
Mhm.
ideas, all this creativity. And it's like we can feel as the recipient, we can feel like we have to action all of it
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yes.
Yesterday, right? We're late.
Ah,
And
yes.
I'd like to offer a different lens that I learned years ago, which is this wonderful gift of divine intelligence and intuition and creativity is so beautiful. And yet it still gets to exist according to our free will.
Mm.
So you have free will, and that's a part of existence.
Ugh.
And
Yeah.
you're like when you wake up at 3 in the morning and you're receiving all this information, do you do you immediately like get up and write it down, or do you just try to sleep it away? How do you operate with that?
So sometimes, yeah, when I wake up, I'll write it down, or sometimes it becomes too much and I like smoke weed. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to, and that's like the only thing that like
Yeah.
shuts it down where I can like relax because
Mm-hmm.
it processes conversations even with my partner and I of things that he needs to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And then like things that my son needs to hear. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a coach that's
Yes.
like processing at night and then I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, like I received a download and you need to receive this." And yeah, and it just becomes like a lot and
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. So you have the ability to ask it to slow down,
Mm,
to take a break, to turn off, because what it sounds like is actually happening is that maybe it's not your spirit guides per se. It sounds like your subconscious mind takes the reins when you go
mm,
to sleep because now it's safe. The world is quiet. So now
mm,
you can exist.
mm.
And so here
Oh,
she comes, right, with all her reflections, everything she should have said, everything that she would have done if she would feel safe when the world is awake.
Ooh, shit. Wow. Yeah, that resonates for sure. Mm.
And I would encourage you to set maybe little reminders in your phone throughout the day, maybe one every like 4 hours or so that just beeps and goes off. And take just a quick moment, maybe less than a minute, to say, I'm available for you. I'm with you. I'm listening. Because it almost seems like, as you express to me, like how you've been living in your relationship dynamics, there's just this smooth, integrated pattern of self abandonment, which you brought up earlier. So the repatterning of that is just, let's connect. Let's connect.
Mm.
So there's not like a specific outside action that needs to be taken just yet. Those will come. It's that reminder of, I'm with you. I know you exist. I'm here. I'm listening.
Ooh,
How does
wow.
that feel for you?
Like the truth?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ew. Wow.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about this is you know how to be you. All of us know how to be us. It's more about removing these sort of layers that we took on, this kind of armor that we took on. And a lot of us put it on before our brains were even fully developed, right? So it
Mm.
made sense when we put on this metaphorical armor to protect ourselves. It really made sense at the time. It was a good move, smart move. And now, as we're in our like late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, now it's like, oh, we can actually dissolve this because it's not safe anymore. It's actually getting in the way.
Mm.
It's actually super heavy, you know? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm tired of carrying this mess around, letting it dissolve. And that's really the best metaphor I can give you to describe it,
Mm.
because what you'll be doing is like a thawing. It's like you're thawing out. It's like tender at the beginning, kind of raw, a little messy. You've just been like in this encasing for a couple decades. I would be lying to you if I said it was going to be comfortable. That would be awful of me and so far out of integrity. It probably will feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
especially because as a leader, as a bright light, as a guide and a wisdom keeper, part of your mission is also to be disruptive, which you probably know already. You probably walk into rooms and can feel
Yeah.
that you've already pissed somebody off or upset somebody's apple cart, right? Just because you stepped into the room and started breathing, which is the shadow side of being like hyper vigilant, but also highly intuitive, very empathic, deeply feeling. Is like, you don't just meet the person at face value, you sort of are able to feel everything that exists under the surface for them. So you're like, I see what you're showing me, but I also see everything that you're not showing me. I
Yeah.
can feel it before you even recognize it in yourself.
Mm.
And for some people, that feels very liberating. I was like, I feel fully seen.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's like, I feel violated,
Yeah.
because I'm not ready to handle that
Yeah.
level of depth with myself. So the fact that you brought it to me is
Yeah.
unsettling.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you, as you do sort of this like mini exposure therapy with yourself as it feels safe, and as you build that muscle of being seen and being with people and being a disruptor intentionally, right? Like knowing, accepting that there will be people who love me and love me. They ride for me. They're like my grandmother. They're like my Lucy. They really rock for me. There's also going to be people that do not. And both sets of people belong to the divinity from which you came.
Mm.
So, one of the things that I encourage you and anybody listening to do, if you struggle with being seen, if you struggle with, or if it feels scary or like tender, is let those people be handled by the divinity that created them.
Mm.
It is not your job.
Wow.
Like, give them the gift of being shaped by their creator.
Mm. Ooh.
How does that feel in your system?
Like I feel a sense of obviously like peace and the complete opposite of peace of like or the illusion of control that I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I need to do to make sure that I'm safe to protect myself, and then the
Mm-hmm.
knowing of I never had to protect myself. It was just anxiety.
Yeah. So what can you do when you feel that come up again?
I guess what you mentioned, like letting her know I'm here. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I see you and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yep.
And maybe repeating what you just said around let the creator heal and guide them. It's not your responsibility to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And allow her to cry and feel anxious and
Yeah. Yeah.
like she's gonna die.
Mm-hmm. So much of your journey at this point, particular inflection point, is reparenting.
Mm, yeah.
And reparenting ourselves when we have littles, I know
Oh
because I did this with
God.
my oldest one,
Um,
is like they do when they're that little, they do feel like the world is ending. And for them it is because their world is like tiny, it's so small. It's like me and my diaper and my toy. That's the whole world.
yeah.
And so really being in full acknowledgement of that, like, I feel you, I'm with you. I'm not going anywhere.
Mm,
I'm going to be with you. I'm going to stay with you. It's
mm,
valid. It's important. And we're going to keep going, right? It's like when your little one fights nap time and they're like so upset because now they have to
mm,
nap, right? And it's like, I hear you. I see you. And your sleep is important. And we'll read a book and we'll sing a song. And you still need to nap. Like, you're
mm,
still going to take a rest because that's what's best for you.
yeah.
And I know you don't like it, and that's
Mm.
okay. And it's still nap time. Except for us as adults, it's like, it's still go time.
Yeah,
We still get to
yeah.
go be out in the world. We still get to go take care of our responsibilities. We still get to show up, and it's okay.
That's what I've struggled with. It's staying in that
Yeah.
state and like feeling
Mm-hmm.
those feelings and then not doing anything. It's like
Sure.
I'm not gonna do this task because
Yep.
everything feels so like
Mm-hmm.
hard
Yeah.
and I feel stuck. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like that's been a challenge, like a huge
Mm-hmm.
challenge for me to get out of those states
Yeah.
because I feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The mantra, the motto is like, keep moving. I can move when it's messy. I can move when it's beautiful. I can move when it's great. I can move when it's prickly. I'm going to keep moving because I exist.
Mm. Mm. And when I'm not moving, it's the part of me that doesn't want to exist.
Yes.
And reinforcing that through my actions,
Mm-hmm.
I get to continue to not exist
Yeah.
versus aligning with my values, which is
Yeah.
like what I want is to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yeah. It's just the part of you that subconsciously, that belief of like, I can't, got programmed.
Mm.
Right. So when we enter freeze and we
Yeah.
enter like this sort of apathetic state,
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
it depression, call it apathy, whatever it is, it's like, it's that I can't showing up.
Mm.
And a lot of us that wrestle with that also have the perfectionist arm. That's like, well, if
Yeah.
you can't show up as a 10, you just might as well not show up. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, well, guess what? I'm showing up as a 2 today.
Mm.
And the world is going to get all the 2 that I have to give it, you know? And that's what
Yes.
it's going to be for today,
Wow.
or for
Yeah.
this hour. And then the next hour will go for 3, maybe,
Mm.
you know? But now we're getting into the laws of the universe. It's like an object in motion stays in motion. So like
Mm.
the hardest part is getting into motion. So you get in as a 1 or a 2. You're like, here I
Mm.
go. I'm getting in. And then as you get in, oh, here's 3. There's
Okay.
4 on the scale. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I love the metaphor of working out. Where it's like, if
Mm.
you haven't worked out in years and like you haven't really fully existed in a while, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's just embrace
Um,
that. It's like you haven't existed at 10 in a super long time, maybe never. Maybe it's always been
Yeah.
6 or a 7, or you vacillated, maybe moments of 10 and
Yeah.
then you drop back down to 2 or 1, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that first workout where you're like, damn, this is hard. You know, I tried
Yeah.
to run and I only went like 1/10 of a mile
Mm.
and I feel exhausted and this feels heavy. And then you come back and the next time you do a quarter mile. And
Mm.
then the next time you do a half a mile. And as you build it, now all of a sudden you're running 2 miles, you're running 3 miles, you're running 4, and it feels like no problem. You get a little bit
Wow.
faster each time. You get a little bit stronger each time. That's the laws of the universe.
Mm. Whew. You gave me an exercise to record myself telling my
Mm-hmm.
story.
Yeah.
I didn't even do that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
social media is a thing that I know that I'd like to do. And then that
Mm-hmm.
part of me, again, doesn't want to be seen.
Sure.
Mhm.
So incorporate that. Think of that as step one.
Yeah.
Let me record myself, non-judgmental. Nobody has to see it.
Yeah.
It's for me.
Yeah.
It's so that I can witness me. That's the
Mm.
reparenting, right? I
Mm.
will see me. I will be with
Mm.
me. I choose me.
Mm. Wow. I'm having all these like mind-blowing
Yeah.
like moments of like, oh my gosh, she's right. I'm not
Yeah.
even wanting to see me.
Yeah.
And me not doing that task, it was really me not wanting to see me or view me. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And just as a final note, mama to mama, because I heard you say something earlier. I heard you say, my son hasn't really met me
Mm.
because I haven't really met me. And maybe I haven't met him because I haven't met me.
Yeah.
And mama to mama, I just want to share that I'm still meeting my son,
Mm.
both of them. And one's going to be 13 and the other one's going to be 3. And the reason I say that is because we've both been evolving the entire time. And
Mm.
so there's only ever evolution. Both of you got the version of you that you needed.
Thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
As mamas, we can be super critical. We want the best. Is there anything else you'd like to share or say before we wrap up?
I'm excited to, yeah, start thawing out all of the decades of armor. And I'm excited to start, yeah, slowly creating spaces where I can witness myself and see myself. And I'm excited to reparent. I thought I was before, but I feel like this is like a whole new level. I thought it was this, but it's actually like existing, living, like me having the desire to live. I didn't realize until now, until this conversation of like, oh, this has been the common theme for me. Wow. Outside of like in those moments of like talking to myself and telling myself that I'm here, that it's safe, that I see you, accepting my emotions. Are there any other like exercises that would be beneficial for me?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The one that I would really encourage you to
yeah,
incorporate into your routine if you have the space is the power process,
yeah,
which you have free access
yes.
to because you're in Fem
Okay,
Forward.
okay,
It's also for the people listening, it's available via the link in my bio on my Instagram. You can purchase it. There's a guide to go through and a template and a video training with it. And that's really designed to reprogram your beliefs
mm,
quickly and connect yourself deeper to your body
wow,
because our world is really a projection of our internal dialogue. And our internal dialogue is a reflection of our deeper beliefs. So as you practice that, as you go through the power process, it takes less than like 10 minutes every day. I literally just did mine before I hopped on with you. It's really something that creates awareness quickly. And when we have
mm,
awareness, our willpower can act.
mm.
And it creates that space to go, oh, do I choose this or do I not choose this?
I know I get to watch the
Mm-hmm.
video, but is it
Yeah.
something that you do every single day?
Yeah.
Like,
I would encourage you to do it every single day if you can, multiple times a day, because it'll take you 5 minutes, maybe
oh,
10. It's
okay,
super straightforward. And I
okay,
created it that way because we're busy people. Like,
yeah, yeah,
if you're an
yeah,
entrepreneur, or you're a mother or both like us, you're busy, right? We don't have 2 hours to process every day.
Yeah.
And so it's very short. You're working with a particular dynamic where the stuckness and the density and the chaos and disruption are normal. Those are well-built muscles for you. You could navigate those blindfolded with headphones on. You've got like your extrasensory gifts to navigate those. The real effort is going to be in the goodness. There's joy here. That's another one that you can incorporate as well if you want, is like setting an alarm and being joyful for 3 minutes. Nonstop, 3 minutes, go for it. And do not stop until that alarm goes off. And right, because in the power process, what you'll see is that you generate the feeling. You'll see it as you do them every day. You'll go, oh, look, there's the situation. There's my internal dialogue. There's my feeling. Isn't it interesting how my internal dialogue always informs my feeling? And my body reflects that internal dialogue. Then my behaviors reflect that internal dialogue. And then my outcomes match my internal dialogue. So now if I know that about myself, well, let's change our internal dialogue and just start practicing those reps. The wiring that we're dealing with is just what we've practiced a bunch.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for being present and your vulnerability and sharing. Oh my gosh, my pleasure. As we complete this episode, I would love to know your insights, takeaways, and feedback. You can message me on Instagram at Katie Lynn Rojano or send them via email to katie@katielynnrojano.com. Any products or digital downloads I mentioned can be found via the link in my Instagram bio. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to share it with at least one friend and leave a 5-star review so we can get these impactful dialogues into the lives of even more people. I would also like to thank my guest for their vulnerability and generosity in allowing us to learn from them and grow alongside them. Until next time, friends, let's go beyond.